Welcome to On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, author of several Tudor history books. Now, where am I taking you back to today? Well, I'm taking you back to Queen Elizabeth I's reign. For on the afternoon of this day in Tudor history, Wednesday the 4th of June 1561, the eve of Corpus Christi, the city of London was hit by a tremendous thunderstorm. According to contemporary accounts, there was a marvellous great fiery lightning and a most terrible hideous crack of thunder, such as seldom hath been heard. Contemporary accounts recorded that a thunderbolt smote down certain great stones from the battlement of the steeple of the church of St. Martin, Ludgate, which fell down upon the leads of the church and brake the leads and boards and a great chest in two pieces. St. Martin's was completely destroyed by fire. Lightning also struck the steeple of St. Paul's Cathedral. Stephen Porter, in Everyday Life in Tudor London, explains that this steeple was made from oak covered with lead, and that it was topped with a ball containing relics, a cross and a weathercock, which was in the form of an eagle. The steeple dated back to 1462, when it had replaced a steeple that had been hit by lightning on Candlemas Eve in 1444. In 1506, the weathercock had been replaced after the wind had blown it down, and in 1553, the whole steeple had been removed and repaired. In a survey of the cities of London and Westminster, Borough of Southwark and parts adjacent, which was based on the work of 16th century historian John Stowe, is the following account. In the year 1561, the 4th of June, betwixt the hours of 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the great spire of the steeple of St. Paul's Church was fired by lightning, which broke forth, as it seemed, 2 or 3 yards beneath the foot of the cross, and from thence it burnt downwards from the spire to the battlements, stonework, and bells, so furiously that within the space of 4 hours the same steeple with the roof of the church were consumed. Contemporary accounts don't agree on what time the lightning struck the steeple, but the fire was recorded as breaking out at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, starting just below the ball. Holes had been left in the lead for scaffolding, and so the fire caught the oak underneath. And within around 15 minutes, the cross and the eagle fell onto the roof of the south transept, and the steeple was described as burning downward like a candle consuming. The melted lead of the steeple poured down on the roof like molten lava, and the cathedral bells melted. All the roofs of the cathedral caught fire, and the rafters were consumed. The streets below seemed to be paved with lead, and the air was full of sparks and debris. As the steeple burnt, a crowd gathered, and there was talk of shooting the steeple down with artillery and of men scaling the roof to attack it with axes to try and stop the fire spreading. But things happened so fast that it was decided instead to concentrate on saving the bishop's palace, which joined onto the cathedral on the north side. If the palace had caught fire, then the fire would also spread to its adjoining properties. 500 people were involved in fetching water, and they did manage to save the palace. But the steeple and all 4 of the cathedral roofs were completely destroyed. The interior of the cathedral survived, except for the communion table. It was soon rumoured that the fire had been started by a negligent plumber who'd left a pan of hot coals in the steeple, but no plumber or workman had laboured in the cathedral for 6 months. And there were also rumours that it was caused by some wicked practice of wildfire or gunpowder, but there was no evidence to support this either. Others blamed the fire on popery, while others blamed the Puritans. James Pilkington, Bishop of Durham, preached at Paul's Cross that it was a general warning for the whole realm, and namely to the city of London, of some greater plague to follow if amendment of life in all states did not follow. So it was seen as a sign from God. It was recorded that Queen Elizabeth I sent her mandate to the Lord Mayor of London, commanding him to take a method for the immediate repair of the damage. William Benham, in his 1902 book Old St Paul's Cathedral, explains that the Queen gave the mayor 1,000 marks from her own purse and provided him with warrants for 1,000 loads of timber from her woods. The clergy and laymen of London were able to raise nearly £7,000, and within a month there was a temporary roof of boards and lead. By the end of the year, the aisles of the church were recorded as being framed out of new timber, covered with lead and fully furnished, and the cathedral had been completely re-roofed by April 1566. However, the steeple was never rebuilt. 100 years after the cathedral had been re-roofed, the whole of St Paul's Cathedral was destroyed in the September 1666 Great Fire of London. The present building was built between 1675 and 1710 and was designed by Sir Christopher Wren. Also on this day in Tudor history, the 4th of June 1550, sweethearts Robert Dudley and Amy Robsart tied the knot at the Royal Palace of Sheen at Richmond in a service attended by King Edward VI. This marriage was a love match, but it lasted just 10 years, ending with Amy's death in 1560, a death which is surrounded by controversy. You can find out more in last year's video, which I'll give you a link to in the description. You can subscribe by clicking that button there, and I would ask you to do that as it really does help. You can leave a comment, you can give me a like, and you can also hit the bell to be notified as these videos go live. But I'll be back tomorrow with some more Tudor history for you. See you then. Bye-bye.